Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing? Welcome everyone to a new channel, a new bit of ground being um, scouted out by us. Really, Invul Esports 2. This is the second official channel of Invulnerables Esports. I'm Enix. We are here to bring you 4 games back to back to back to back of League of Legends this evening, and with me today is a new face on the Invul channel. Neon, how's it going, man?
Going great, thank you. Yeah, this is the first time I'm casting a game in English, so it's gonna be just as exciting for me as it's gonna be for you. And I'm happy to be here, really happy.
Yeah, it should be a very, very fun, very, very interesting series. I'm really looking forward to seeing what is going to unfold here. Obviously, we're starting off with Invul Lotus, currently 2-0 in NLC Division 3.2. Their previous victory coming last week versus Enhanced Esports. With what we now can confidently say was the longest game of 2022 so far. So if going by that logic, we could be in for a fun one tonight.
Definitely, yeah. We had many more games that lasted a lot longer since the durability update that has shaken up the meta between the spring split and the summer split. And it hasn't only shown in our solo queue games, it has also shown in pro play games, including LEC, LCS, and of course also in the NLC. So I'm expecting to see another banger tonight.
Yeah, hopefully. Let's have a quick look at the rosters. So today, on the side of Hydras, you have Shida, Herko, Kyoshi, Amarali, and Selfway. It has been the roster that they've been using for the majority of the season so far. They've played 2 of their best of 2 series and currently have a 3-1 record. So another team that seemed to be on pretty good form to start off the season.
It's definitely ideal as an orientation how strong Invul Lotus really is, how good they can set foot in this group. It is a difficult group to get through,
Mm.
but the goal is, of course, to get into Div 2 at the end of the split. And if you want to do that, you have to beat literally everyone. And I'm pretty sure the Lotus boys really want to do that tonight.
Yeah, so those are wins for Hydras. 2 of them coming against Visu Gaming Ice, and the other one coming to Viperio. The only defeat for Hydras so far also coming to Viperio. So very competitive group. And we've spoken a bit about Hydras. Let's have a look at the boys on Lotus. You guys all know them, although there is another change for this week. We have Ronaldo in the top lane. Slice is back and in the starting lineup in the jungle. We have Rhino in the mid lane today, and this is the substitution. It's not for Loftition, though. He's starting at ADC for the boys today, and it is the Invul Lotus ADC Lunar that has unfortunately not been available for the game tonight, and Marcusa at support. So Loftition moving into the bot lane, and Rhino taking his place in the mid lane. How do we think this might impact the way that Lotus play?
Probably a pretty strong mid jungle duo because you have a mid lane main on the jungle position, and he knows
Mm.
that mid lane is resource hungry and has a lot of impact on the game if they get ahead early, if they get a lot of resources, if they get some attention from their own team. So there is probably going to be a little bit more action in the mid lane, and maybe Rhino pays a little bit back in showing some presence on the bot side when it comes to dragons, bot lane roams, and the Herald on top side.
Yeah, I mean it'll be interesting. I'm also very very excited to see Loftition in at the ADC position. We got to speak to him after the 2-0 victory against Enhanced last week, and he just sounded really really happy, really really enthusiastic. So I can't wait to see what he will be able to do in a different role. Um, I know he has been practicing his ADC, and I think he plays it as a secondary in solo queue. Not that I'm trying to hype him up too much, but I am interested to see what he'll be able to get done for us today.
I mean, he has a lot of experience on the Jhin. We have seen 113 solo queue games on Jhin from him this year. Also a little bit of Ezreal. Usually Jhin and Ezreal are those typical autofill ADC characters that can't always play if you're not perfect at kiting, because Jhin, slow auto attacking, makes it easy to kite, gets a lot of move speed via his passive, and Ezreal, he's like a mage but also marksman at the same time. He can do a lot more from a high distance and can also work as an artillery marksman, which Loftition should be used to on the mid lane, especially since he's also playing a lot of Zoe, which somewhat has an artillery playstyle to herself. Well,
yeah, exactly. And it's all about, I mean, I guess with substitutions like this, finding things that fit into your comfort zone, even when you're not like as Loftition, like you mentioned, playing a lot of the Zoe in the mid lane, going and playing a lot of Ezreal in the ADC position. Like they're similar kind of styles in the way that they play. In essence, you know, but very much excited to get into this game. I think you should have the tournament code.
let me guess, it's in the casting channel.
I mean, I DM'd it you as well, just to make sure you got it. But yeah, we are very close to game start at this point. I think we're just waiting on getting everything sorted.
Tournament code is invalid,
Tournament
apparently.
code is invalid. Interesting. Make sure there's no spaces, I guess. But Dan, if you're here, give us a hand. A couple of technical gremlins, but
as always.
yeah. You never get. Oh, that okay. I will copy paste it again. I think. Oh. Okay, so the draft is underway externally. Do we have? Oh, we do have the spectate for the draft. If you want to flick over to that, we have the link in casting chat. Apologies, guys. You know, pretty standard at this point for us to be a little bit disjointed and have a couple tech issues. Yeah.
Alright. I'm just gonna swap out the...
Okay, there we go. Yeah, we have draft on screen. You guys can see currently it is Gwen, first pick for Hydras. Invul taking the Viego Misfortune R1, R2. So we've got Invul on the red side for this first game and Hydras on the blue. Senna being the second pickup.
Yeah, Senna is an interesting pick, always. Despite her being that usual, farming pick. We had that a lot in the past. We're gonna have that a lot in the future because fasting Senna just has a lot more utility, has a lot more range, which desperately is missing with farming Senna. So I'm expecting her to be another fasting Senna this time as well.
It's interesting to me that they take the Leona here on B3. Senna Leona, not the most common pairing, I think is fair to say. And answered with the Renata on the side of Invul.
Definitely not common, but it's playable, and to be honest, it's also one of the lanes that I prefer to have when I'm playing fasting Senna, because Leona has a lot of setup, has reliable engage, and just offers everything that you need as an ADC, and also has halfway good wave clear for a support, so I think she's perfectly suited for the position.
Yeah, second phase bans, we see the Mundo ban coming through from Invul, which just takes another one of those tanks away. Don't think that is gonna be in any way relation to the Senna. Like Mundo Senna wouldn't be a particularly good lane, but I would imagine that they play it potentially in other positions. No ban coming through from Hydras to start off the second phase.
That is interesting. That's probably gonna be substituted in the actual champ select later. We're gonna see
Yeah,
about that.
I imagine that is a mistake. Although I'm not seeing anything to tell us that it is, so we're going to assume for now it's a misban. Or there's been a bug with draft, because that's also a misban on Invul, and I'm seeing new draft links being sent. So I believe that something has bugged somewhere along the line. Because, again, nothing will ever work 100% perfectly.
Never has.
So I imagine we will be recreating drafts and going. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it looks like we are restarting the draft. I imagine picks will be kept the same up until the point of the bug. But let's see.
All right. I at least made it into the lobby yet.
Excellent.
Now.
That's always helpful. Have you got the draft link, or do you want me to send it over?
Do not have it yet.
I will send it in your DMs now. But yeah, again, it is just going to be a recreation. So exactly the same bands. Veigar, Yuumi, Ari from Enhanced. Seraphine, Karma, and Rengar from Invul Lotus. Gwen, obviously the first pick again. Viego, Misfortune, going to be the R1, R2. Senna Leona going to be the B2, B3. And then we will see Renata Glask once again on the Rift in R3. I don't know whether the Mundo ban will remain. I'm not sure whether that was intentional or not. We will find out. Okay, no, apparently it's Tom Kench now.
Of course. Good old Tom Kench.
Never mind. It was never a Leona. There was never a Leona anywhere. It was only ever a Tom Kench.
I guess it makes sense. Tom Kench has an easier time keeping lane control, keeping Senna safe. And that is something that you really want to do when your enemy picks up Viego, Misfortune, and Renata. Because those can make everything hell for you with the snip of a finger.
Exactly. So now we are back into the ban phase for the second rotation. As the Tom Kench was changed, I don't imagine we'll see the Mundo ban, and no, it is the Karthus. So Karthus coming through from Invul. Jack's going to get taken off the board by Hydras by the looks of things.
Yeah, banning Karthus makes sense, but also doesn't, because Karthus usually wants to be the only AP source on the team, and Hydras already have Gwen, which is another AP source, and therefore doesn't fit a Karthus in the team comp.
Yeah, although if the Hydras jungler is very comfortable on the Karthus, I guess there are scenarios where it can make sense. Swain going to be the last ban for the side of Invul Lotus, and Hydras are going to answer it with something. Darius is that something. Interesting. I haven't seen a lot of Darius into Gwen. Is it a bad matchup for the Gwen?
It is bad in early game. It is not so much bad in the later stages of the game. If she can avoid duels with Darius, and if she can just play around him when split pushing in the later stages of the game, she can outscale him, she can have a better impact.
Fair enough. That's a very much different champion from a Darius. We're seeing a Kayle for Ronaldo in the top lane. I imagine that's Kayle top. Kayle mid doesn't seem to be quite as common recently.
Kayle is a pretty decent matchup into Gwen, but it also isn't. It is difficult. You need to stay safe until level 6. When you hit level 6, you're probably the safest champion in the entire game on top lane, with the exception that you don't have a dash. But you don't really need one. You have your ultimate to literally just stop anyone from hurting you, and that also hurts Gwen slightly, despite Gwen having a lot of DPS, having a lot of continuous damage that she can always deal. Just as Cassiopeia, which is going to be picked up here.
Yeah, interesting. There's a lot of scaling on the side of Hydras here with the Senna Cassiopeia, but it's going to be answered. Is it going to be answered with Corki or Victor? What does Rhino feel like playing? It's going to be... actually going to be Azir. Is this going to get locked?
It's not
I
locked
mean,
yet, but
yeah,
yeah, now it's
bird
locked.
is indeed the word. Azir getting locked in for Rhino in the mid lane. So now we know the drafts. We assume that it is Gwen top lane and Lee Sin jungle. I think that's fair to assume.
Definitely so.
Who do we think has the better draft here then, Neon?
Honestly, I'm thinking Hydras to have a slightly better draft since they don't just have a lot of reliable DPS with Senna, Cassiopeia and a good damage mix. They also have frontliners with Tahm Kench and Lee Sin, while the frontline is entirely missing on the other side. Of course, there's not really a big one-shot threat, but if you get poked once, you're gonna lose a lot of HP. And Renata doesn't have a heal. Kayle has a weak heal that also costs a ton of mana. So it's gonna be difficult to say how the whole thing is gonna pay out for Invul right here. They need to keep it clean. They can't afford to give away many kills, or they will just get rolled over by Lee Sin and Senna.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out, and I'm really looking forward to the team fights in this game. I mean, I look forward to the team fights in every game. I'm not gonna lie. But I feel like the potential for Viego resets, or Cassiopeia just like, doing her thing and poisoning everything with a pulse in a team fight is going to be really, really good to see. I feel like the Tahm Kench of Selfway could have a very large factor in deciding this game. I think if he can keep his Senna or his Cassiopeia alive, it's then just gonna be really, really difficult for Invul to play the fights.
I'm actually thinking that Southway should prioritize Amorali on the Senna here, since Cassiopeia has limited range, really limited range, and that's not gonna help against the Kayle and Azir.
And the bullet time from the Misfortune.
The bullet time from the Misfortune. Of course, she can just interrupt the bullet time by using her petrifying gaze herself, and basically stunning the Misfortune and everyone who's unfortunate enough to look in the same direction. But damage is still gonna be applied, at least parts of it, and that's something that Cassio needs to be wary of at any stage of the game. Kyoshi, I'm gonna look forward to how he handles this all, but Selfie's prio will most likely be on keeping Amorali safe, and that's probably also his target for most of the ults. Unless, of course, he's miles ahead in the front line, and Yoshi is right next to him in the front line, which he will most likely have to be, and Amorali can afford to keep a little more distance because he has a lot more range.
Yeah, I can definitely understand the argument for prioritizing the Senna over the Cassiopeia. We have now got the draft recreated in client, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to be loading onto the Rift very shortly. Obviously, we do have the 3 minutes of spectator delay. We don't want to be giving anyone any kind of unfair advantage. So we're just gonna discuss, and we're gonna ask for your guys' opinion in chat, actually. Let us know in chat who you think is going to win. Give us either a prediction, either Hydras or Invul. And let's see. Let's get a feel. Let's try and read the room a little bit. It's such a difficult one to predict, I feel. Especially after what we went or what me and Eris went through last week, with the 60-minute banger. Because that was a game of League of Legends, let me tell you.
Yeah, I'm already seeing a big Loftian hype train in the chat. Lofty multi-role talent and all. So talented. I think there's some hype for him here. On the AD carry position today, maybe he can use that hype a little bit and show us what he can do on the Misfortune. Just rely on his support, on Marcusa to keep him safe and show everyone what he's made of. Put in a few nice bullet times and keep people at bay at any point of the game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to it'll be interesting to see how the lane duo, the lane partnership of Loftition and Marcusa work. Because obviously they will have some synergy being mid support. Marcusa roaming up to the mid lane, looking to set up plays with Loftition and Slice when Loftition's on his main role. So how much of that synergy is going to carry over here, do we feel like? And is it going to help them in being able to navigate this laning phase against a bot lane that is quite well practiced together?
I think it definitely helps that they have some sort of synergy, but it's also down to Loftition adapting to the playstyle of Marcusa. Since 8 carry is a completely different role than mid lane. Of course, you have some squishy champion that is not particularly good in early game. That is the same for mid lane and bot lane in most cases. But having a champion that relies on having a support that carries them through lane so they can carry the later stages of the game is a completely different thing than most mid laners who are usually self-sufficient enough to actually survive the lane.
The other thing that I am somewhat interested to see, and I feel like it's a bit of a pointless question. But again, me and Eris mentioned this last week on the cast. We've seen a lot of Liandry's Torment misfortune over the last few weeks. I don't expect we'll see it this game because we do have a Kayle and an Azir, and Azir does quite like to build the Liandrys himself. Is there a possibility of it, though?
I think there is a possibility, but I do not think it's particularly good, since Loftition is responsible for most of the physical damage. The only physical damage source on the side of Invul Lotus is Slice in the jungle on the Viego, and Viego alone, I think if you would put a misfortune on the Liandry's Anguish as well, the physical damage part of the team would fall off in the late game, despite bullet time still being a really powerful tool in the late game, despite the Liandry's Anguish, because you're still building mostly lethality items or armor penetration items. But I think they're not going to do that. I'm also just seeing that Loftition has actually picked the press the attack instead of an arcane comet, so that also opens the chance that we might have a crit build right here.
Yeah, that does suggest it will be more of a physical damage focused build for the Misfortune. But ladies and gentlemen, we are now on to the Rift. We should be switching things over on the stream very, very shortly. And are we expecting anything to happen at this level 1?
I'm not actually sure, to be honest. These are not exactly two teams that would like to invade. I'm gonna say it as it is.
No, they very much aren't. Wait, Invul red side, right? Yeah, okay, cool. I just saw the stream graphics change. I was like, wait, have we just been talking about the draft the wrong way around the whole time? But no, it's fine. It's fine. But we are into game. It is going to be a pretty standard 5-point start from both sides. Both Slice and Marcusa dropping early wards in the top side jungle from Slice and the bot lane for Marcusa. Both of them resetting, picking up the early sweepers. Very, very nice to see. It's going to aid them in fighting for that vision control in this early game. But it is going to be bot lane starts for both of the junglers.
In theory, this also takes away the potential to get a skirmish done for Amorali and Selfway. Tahm Senna aren't usually seen as the really strong cheese bot lane, but Tahm early game is really disgustingly strong, and the only thing he pays that with for is his later game scaling, which we all know Tahm isn't exactly the best scaling tank in League of Legends. But Senna, since she has the slow on her Precinct Darkness, also has the advantage that she can bring a lot of utility to the table, and they can make for a disgusting chain slow, including a tongue lash.
Yeah, nice little bit of early poke going down here in the bot lane as we do discuss the trading potential. Amirali really taking a big chunk from that Make It Rain and the Renata passive. So that synergy already, adapting to how Marcusa wants to play, really coming into effect for Loftition. And we do see the early level 2 for the Invul Lotus bot lane. Handshake does just go wide, though. And it's going to just be a little tiny trade, as Amirali already burning both of those potions.
That's not exactly the start that Amorali would have liked to have. Of course, he has to heal with the Piercing Darkness, and he can also keep his support Self-Way alive with it. But it's still a bummer to lose both potions level 1, especially since Loftition has 2 potions for himself. Didn't pick up the cookies, doesn't really need them. Goes in with a Doran's Ring, which gives him a lot more damage on the Make It Rain early on, and helps him win those trades early.
Yeah, it should help him keep lane control as well, be able to manipulate that minion wave, keep it wherever he wants. We do see Ronaldo here in the top lane getting beaten up a little bit, but Slice, he's going in for the jungle 1v1. Crab's stolen away as well with a smite, and he should be able to pick up first blood here. The dash forward, flash follow, and it is first blood for Slice on the Viego. Jungle 1v1 for the Scuttle Crab, really not turning in favor for the Lee Sin, and Invul Lotus pick up the first blood. Root's going to connect, though, onto Loftition as we see a play in the mid lane. Lofty getting knocked up, flashing away with the Ignite ticking, and that acquired taste is stacking up. They can't quite get the final auto attack. The Piercing Darkness on the tower not going to come through. Loftition going to survive after expending both summoners, Amirali and Selfway, burning 1 each in response, though. And Ronaldo really getting chunked out here in the top lane.
Yeah, Selfway quite literally burning the Ignite. It was a nice engage. As soon as Amirali hits the root, he has imminent kill threat onto Loftition or onto his support.
We see a cull picked up here from Loftition.
Yeah, that is totally fine. He just needs to survive that lane, and while he does survive that lane, he can also pick up a little more golds in the meantime.
Yep.
It's gonna be difficult to play this lane because every time he gets rooted, Selfway has a guaranteed landing engage. And that also makes me a little surprised about why Loftition isn't running cleanse in this lane. He prioritizes heal. I think that is fine too, but it opens up a window to have a few more engages onto the bot lane of Invul Lotus.
Yeah, especially with both of those summoners down, it really does remove that invulnerability from the Invul Lotus bot lane. But no, we're going to see Rhino being chunked out here. The poison ticking away on that Azir. Does have the teleport though, so can get back into the lane very quickly. Ghost was burned earlier as well on the side of the Cassiopeia, which we didn't see. I don't think we saw, at least. Maybe we did, and I just completely missed it. We are going to see again, though, Herco taking a lot of damage here. Cassiopeia moving up onto Slice, but it looks like Slice might just pick up another one, and he does. Takes out the Lee Sin for his second kill of the game, and this Viego is already rolling. And now we could see Kyoshi coming under threat, flashing over the wall away from the handshake, though. Marcusa and Loftition not quite going to get a successful roam off there, although they do force the flash.
This is becoming increasingly unlucky for Kyoshi in that game. He can't really do a lot because Cassio doesn't deal big early damage. Of course, she can outtrade an Azir, especially when that Azir doesn't have any resources, which is the case for Rhino right now and has been for the last 2 minutes. But what Kyoshi can't do here is help Herco when Herco overextends, and he has done that a second time now. And he really has to watch himself, or otherwise he's going to do that a third time on the next Scuttle Crab topside.
But they have spotted the Viego on this control ward here in the topside bush. Ronaldo now has the level 6, really starting to win out on these trades in the top lane. Shieda taking dangerous levels of damage. And the junglers, they've passed like ships in the night. Invul Lotus planning the dive here. Lee Sin going to get spotted out by the Sonic Wave, but the kill is already picked up. It looks like Herco will be able to escape, and now we see the trade in the bot lane. Loftition getting taken dangerously low. The bailout comes through. Can they get the kill? Not quite in time. Selfway going to pick up 1. Can Marcusa get himself out alive? The root comes through. Piercing Darkness, and now it is a slow chain. The hat, you may be able to shake my hand, but I'm going to take you down. Amirali picks up Marcusa, and here we see Hydras fighting back in the bot lane with a double.
That's exactly the engage thread that I have mentioned earlier. Selfway can just follow up on any engage, and the fact that Ignite has a ridiculously low cooldown helps with that as well. Amirali needs to flash there, drops dangerously low, which is just the only combat power of Loftition on the Misfortune. But in the end, it's unfortunately not enough, and not even the bailout of Marcusa can fix that.
And speaking of unfortunate, you have to say that bailout was nearly just enough. We saw Amirali escape on, I would probably say, 30 to 40 HP. One more auto attack comes through from Loftition there. He doesn't die. They get the revive through, and then they can turn all their attention on to the catfish and try and cook themselves up an early dinner. But very, very well navigated, very, very well spaced and kited from the Hydras bot lane. And a very important pair of kills for them to pick up in this game, because you begin to get the sense that Slice is starting to take over.
I'm also honestly thinking that even an auto tag of Marcusa would have been enough to get that kill done. And Amirali's just quick enough to escape that, which is pretty fortunate for the Hydras bot lane. And just what they needed. Somehow make it back into the game.
It was about time this game went in their favor. As you mentioned, Herco very much unlucky. The 2 solo kills coming through for Slice onto the Lee Sin, and a third for the Viego on the dive. And it looks like Invul Lotus might be setting up another dive here. Ronaldo crashing yet another wave into this top lane outer tower. Slice is in the area. The Heartbreaker is available, and the Cafe Cutie is going to be sent away. Gwen taken out. Slice on an absolute rampage, wanting to make sure that the league know to fear him. He may have missed game 1, but he is back with a vengeance. Dragon traded on the bot side by the Hydras team.
Yeah, also pretty nice move from Ronaldo here in the top lane to immediately cast the Divine Judgment onto the Viego. Just as he's diving, don't even take the risk of a Slice dropping low in that fight. Ronaldo doesn't need to get anywhere near the turret. After that, Ronaldo has more than enough damage to take down the Gwen, and has utilized it perfectly. So you just give him another helping hand, which adds some more damage as well, and makes the kill even easier.
Yeah, and this Viego, 4-0 already. We are about 10 minutes into this game. 10.5 minutes or so. And this Viego is 4-0. How are you going to go about shutting Slice down from this position if you are Hydras?
Basically, either you stall the game out, or you DDoS him immediately. Sticking to legal ways, of course. So
yes, of course.
They have to stall the game out pretty massively. They have good wave clear.
Oh, the handshake's going to connect, and we are going to see a brawl in the bot lane. Bullet time comes through, but it's a very, very nice devour from Selfway, going to get Amirali out to safety. Slice in the area, looking for a stun. Not going to be able to find anything, and the flash kick, the insect coming through from Herco. Loftition flashes away from the Dawning Shadow, but the shielding has come through. The Renata ticking away, and Marcusa going to be the first to fall. Now it's Slice versus the world. Can he pull out the 1v3 stun? Going to connect. Heartbreaker forward. Not quite going to be able to find the kill on to the Senna. No, he is shut down, and the Tahm Kench of Selfway going to pick that one up. Flash grounded from Kyoshi in the mid lane, and he's going to find a solo kill as well. And Hydras winning out across the map. Ward dash over the wall, and Loftition, you've got to run, my friend. You may have left it a little bit too late. Sonic Wave going to connect, and that's going to be another one for Herco. 4-0 across the board for Hydras.
That's a big shutdown in the bot lane, but the unfortunate thing is that the shutdown goes into the bags of Selfway, and Selfway is literally the last person on the team you want the shutdown on, because he's not gonna do a lot with that gold, except for getting tankier. He is not gonna get a lot more damage. So I would have liked that shutdown on Amirali, because he's suffering when it comes to gold anyways. As a fasting signer, you don't really get gold in the early game. So getting that bonus of 750 gold, that extra paycheck, would have helped him a lot and would have made the game a lot easier for him. Instead, Selfway gets it, bags it, and picks up the shutdown onto the Viego, which isn't optimal, and also makes the effects of that.
Ooh, another fight potentially brewing here in the top lane. Rhino moving up, sorry. Ronaldo the one in the top lane already. But it is going to get spotted out by Herco, who was rating in the Tribush, so nothing going to come of it. Another Scuttle Crab picked up by Slice. And interesting to note, actually, in that fight in the bot lane, Marcusa was only level 5, so there was no hostile takeover available for the Renata.
Just a perfect timing from Hydras to search for the engage, to look for it, and to initiate it before Marcusa can actually prevent it, which would be pretty easy with the hostile takeover. It's of
First
course
turret picked up by Lotus in the top lane, meanwhile.
very important one also for Ronaldo. KL just gonna scale a lot quicker now. Hostile takeover is definitely going to help out with the next dragon fight, which is gonna come around in just under 50 seconds.
Yeah, and it's going to be 2 turrets in this top lane, all the gold being funneled into Ronaldo. The Kayle very, very strong here, 20 CS advantage. We might see another dive in the bot lane. This game is all about the dives. Tower damage may have been buffed with the durability update. These junglers don't care. Although Herco might be getting caught out here. Rhino moving across. Kyoshi is going to join him, though. And this should be the bot lane tower falling for Hydras. Very nice bit of pressure for them to get on the map. 20 seconds before the dragon spawns, although Slice and Ronaldo both already completing their resets. Full Wit's End picked up now for the Kayle. Blade of the Ruined King for the Viego. He's got 2 big swords. And Invul hitting some of their power spikes before this dragon spawns, and they are going to start it straight away. I think Hydras have to just give this.
I'm actually surprised they're not looking for this immediately. After they are getting the bot lane to 1 turret, because they had the angle to just prepare everything. You could also argue that Slice has been on top side a little too long and left too big of a window for his opponents to actually prepare the Drake, but Herco is more interested in his topside camps. They don't really want to take the risk. They have a lot of gold on Amorali and Selfway, so they're taking the resets instead and give the Drake away. It's only the first Drake for Invulnerables Lotus, so it doesn't really mean the world is ending for them, but it's of course also not nice if you want to play for solo.
Definitely. And interesting change in the lane assignments here. So we're seeing Ronaldo and Kyoshi matching the Kayle as we see Herco diving forward on to Slice. Blastcone going to carry them both into the Krug Pit. And we might just see another one with another flash kick. Heartbreaker away, and Herco just going to find that. Slice caught out a little bit in his own jungle with all of the Hydras team moving in support. Rhino going to look for a little bit of poke, maybe take away a couple of these Krugs. But I don't know if you can step up for that tower. The Emperor's Divide coming through. Herco not taking the turret aggro, though, due to a lack of damage. Knockup going to find on to Rhino, though. And this is a lot of damage coming through onto the Azir. I don't know if he's going to be able to turn around onto anyone. Selfway with the tower aggro, not going to drop from their heels. And now Ronaldo fighting in the bot lane. Petrifying Gaze coming through for Kyoshi. There is the Divine Judgment. I don't think Ronaldo's got up, but no! Finds the solo kill, just about survives. And that is pretty important for that 1v1 matchup. A lot more gold into that Kayle's back pockets now.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to get that kill onto Ronaldo on the top lane if you don't have mana to pull it off. And it's also difficult to do when the Kayle is just invincible.
Ooh, we're seeing a teleport from Rhino into this topside river. Rift Herald's being started by Hydras. Invul Lotus might look to fight this, but there is a Gwen on the flank. Herald claimed, the eyes picked up. No fight going to ensue. Shieda just about managing to dissuade the Invulnerables' advance, but there is a mid tower going to fall in reply, and the bot lane tower. And I believe that is a bug. That's a Hextech Drake spawning in 2.5 minutes, right? Not an Infernal.
That is definitely a Hextech Drake spawning, but yeah.
Cool. We love spectate bugs.
Absolutely do. Yeah. Finally, Invul Lotus are starting to break open the map to increase the pressure. Having 2 turrets top lane was nice, but didn't really help. Now they have a lot more control over the bot side jungle, and they can do a lot more on side lanes, while Hydras are still looking to get the mid lane tier 1 turret down. They will try now. They have the Herald,
with the Rift Herald.
and it's probably gonna fall here. But
Bullet time comes
bullet
through
time's
from
already
Loftition. Even with this turret advantage, by the way, Invul still sat at about a 1500 gold deficit. A lot of that probably going to be coming in through the CS. We see a 20 CS lead in the bot lane between the Tahm Kench and the Misfortune, and a 30 CS lead for the Cassiopeia too.
What is also important is that Amirali, of course, has a natural gold advantage between supports, because he always gets gold from the souls, 8 per soul to be exact. And what's also helpful is that he has 38 CS over the 13 of Marcusa, which is an advantage of about 500 gold, and doesn't make Marcusa's job a lot easier.
Speaking of the souls, really quick, can we get a check-in on Amirali to see how many souls that Senna's got?
70.
70 souls at 18 minutes. We are going to see a fight in the top lane. Shieda taking the brunt of this. Heartbreaker comes down from Slice, and you imagine this one's going to fall. The Dawning Shadow, too little, too late. You will not survive to see another Dawn, Shieda.
Yeah, Gwen might try to fight Viego, but she can't have her heart not broken. Shieda's slightly overextending there, trying to contest the own topside jungle, where there's nothing to contest. Gets picked up, and Ronaldo takes the time to push the top lane.
And he's pressuring on an inhibitor tower here. There's no one answering, and I think Ronaldo's just going to get this. He's got a wave. He could push for the inhibitor.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be enough for the inhibitor.
I don't think anyone can answer this Kayle, though. 2 items are already completed with the Berserker's Greaves. Shade are going to respawn, and that is going to be enough to force Ronaldo back. And the Hextech Drake going to be picked up by Hydras. Ooh, Slice. Diving forward on to Kyoshi. Not really wanting to fight that, though. The Rylai's on the Cassiopeia going to dissuade any further chase.
I mean, Kyoshi has a lot of tools to peel himself. He has a lot of tools to deal massive damage, and it's only gonna get worse as soon as he has the Seraph's Embrace and heals himself a lot more with it. The whole thing is that Slice is so fat that if he slightly mispositions the Miasma, Slice is just gonna one-shot him, most likely.
Yep.
He has the Divine Sunderer, which makes one-shotting people
Optician nearly jukes back into the Abyssal Dive there. That's a bullet time. That's a bullet time. No one saw that. We saw nothing. Although, if you want to go Flame Lofty, please go Flame Lofty. After that interview last week, I feel like he deserves it. But we're going to see more posturing around this mid-outer tower. Invul keeping it alive on a sliver of HP. Although you have to imagine a strong gust of wind would blow that tower down at this point.
Basically that, maybe a minion burping onto it.
Where's Janna when you need her?
Actually true. Yeah, let's take another look at the game state. We're even in gold now, but it feels like Invul Lotus have the pace, they have the advantage, they have the vision control. If you look onto the minimap, there are barely any wards from the blue team, from Hydras. And when I say this, I mean there's only one single ward in the bot side river bush from mid lane, while there are a million wards from Invul Lotus around the map. Mostly blue trinkets that are placed by Loftition and Rhino.
The jungle has been lit up like a Christmas tree. That mid lane outer tower now does fall, though. Unfortunately, Loftition did not have the bullet time to be able to clear out that wave.
How did that happen? Must be a
Oh, I don't know. There must have been a fight or something. Like, there's no way he accidentally used it or anything. As we are going to see a fight in the bot lane. Petrifying Gaze is going to come through, and Ronaldo kites away. Flashes back in, though, as they force a flash out of Kyoshi. And the Insect Zonya's or stopwatched by Marcusa, but we are going to see Slice picking up the kill onto Kyoshi. Ronaldo just about surviving, and Marcusa going to get himself away as well. The Sun Disc erected in the mid lane, and I guess Hydras didn't actually destroy the Invul mid tower.
I mean, that's just what I meant when I said that Slice can just one-shot Kyoshi whenever he wants, whenever Kyoshi doesn't place the miasma correctly or doesn't place it at all. That's just what happened. Slice had a way too easy time to get out of the miasma, to get past the slows of the Scepter, and got his damage done onto Kyoshi. Has taken him really low, and with Cassie already lacking a big percentage of her health due to the previous fight against Ronaldo, it's not exactly easy to survive the Viego.
Viego and being easy to survive, I don't think really ever belong in the same sentence, unless you're saying Viego is not easy to survive, in which case you're bang on the money. Slice has been absolutely lethal in this game, 6-2 and 0 so far, part of all bar one of the Invul Lotus kills. And all the kills he's been a part of, he has been the one to secure. 3.5 items on that Viego, 3.5 items on the Kale. We are going to see an engage into the mid lane though. Rhino is Insect back into the Tahm Kench. Can he escape the shuffle? Going to carry him to safety, but no, the Dawning Shadow just going to pick him up on the tail end.
Yeah, Rhino, Loftition and Marcusa don't really have an easy game so far. They have not participated in any kills so far. It has all been between Ronaldo and Slice, and
Loftition has the bullet time here if they want to look for this. Not gonna give the Baron over, but Ronaldo should pick up this bot lane inhibitor tower, and that's another exposed inhibitor for Hydras. Mid lane inner turret going to fall as well, and Hydras may be able to secure themselves a Baron, but I think the net gold gain is in favor of Invul Lotus here.
They definitely did their best to keep the gold gain compared to themselves of Hydras at a minimum, and they did the best job they could do. They still are in a 5v4. Rhino's just getting through the team.
Marcusa's in trouble, gonna get knocked up and is instantly taken down by Amirali. Slice though on the flank, looking for a re-engage, does have the Heartbreaker available, but he's not going to be able to find it. The last embrace coming through, the knock up from the Abyssal Dive, the shutdown picked up onto Ronaldo, and that is a lot of the teamfight damage gone. The Kale falling, really, really big for Hydras here in this fight.
Yeah, Ronaldo tried to flank, tried to find a position that would allow him to deal a lot of damage if his team found the engage, but gets engaged himself instead, and that really doesn't help if you're immobile. And he pays the price for it. He just gets shut down. The combo of Senna's Root and Self-Base Abyssal Dive catching someone out once again. And so far, for me, Amirali is definitely the MVP of Hydra so far. He's doing a really good job. Has an absolutely flawless game. And Loftition might just contribute to himself.
Loftition? He's just run into 4 people. He might be able to get himself out and get himself away. The Lee Sin on top of the Misfortune, and no, not going to be able to find an escape. Herko going to just pick that one up, and that is questionable, to say the least, from Loftition.
I mean, yeah, I've mentioned it. He's not a main AD carry, so he might be struggling to find the limits. You may say he's a master tier player, so he should be fine with it. But it's actually...
Oh, they cancel the recall of the Azir with the Dawning Shadow. They might look to push for the end here, Hydras. Slice going to find the stun and is going to keep his Kale alive this time. Divine Judgment does have to come through though. Hostile takeover going to be enough to dissuade this, and buys enough time for Rhino to get back. Hexgate's being used, and after picking up 2 inhibitors and a whole load of towers, Hydras are looking to add a Hextech Dragon to their list.
This also puts them on Soul Point, which is really important. Hextech Soul still really impactful, still really strong. Definitely gonna help them carry this game further.
Invul Lotus going to pick this one up though. Hydra's not opting to take the dragon, looking for the recalls instead. I would argue that that is a very sensible decision. They have just picked up a whole lot of gold without spending any of it. not wanting to take a fight when Invul have been able to spend their gold, and they're each sat with a couple of thousand in the back pocket.
I would argue it is sensible, but at the same time, they should also be quick enough to just make a quick process of
Oh,
dragon.
and we see Slice again getting engaged on by Herco. Slice had the advantage in the early game matchup between these two junglers, but Herco really bouncing back strongly as we enter the later stages of the mid game here. The Lee Sin play has been pretty clean. It's going to be another turret picked up by Hydras, and they're looking like they're going to want to play this one by the numbers. Pick up every turret on the map. There's only 3 remaining, and only 1 inhibitor remaining for Invul. Hydras themselves may have 2 inhibitors exposed, but that doesn't matter. Invul Lotus not able to pick any of those up, as we see Shieda diving forward with the Hallowed Mist, taking a chunk out of Ronaldo. The Miasma and the Petrifying Gaze dodged away from lovely Devour, though. Gonna keep Amirali alive. The Shurima shuffle from Rhino nearly enough. The Divine Judgment forced out now onto the Azir, and they are having to dive forward. Dawning Shadow comes through. Not all that much shielding, not all that much damage taken by either side. And both teams are just going to disengage.
That's just exactly what Selfie had to do the entire game.
Yep.
If your ADC's in threat, eat them. And he did that absolutely perfectly, while Amirali was already flying
nice
into
timing.
Invul Lotus. That was the play of the game for me so far, and we're gonna see if Invul can recover from that. Their turrets are under attack, not just this inhibitor turret right here, but also the Nexus turrets, which are currently being sieged by super minions.
Yeah, really like that movement from Shieda to help try and get the minions onto the towers a bit quicker to add a little bit of extra pressure. And Invul Lotus are going to have to take a fight soon. Otherwise, the game is just going to end naturally. They are being pulled here, there, and everywhere by Hydras. And they can't quite find the killing blow yet, but you have to imagine it's coming soon. And potentially with this Baron in 45 seconds.
It's all gonna be down to Ronaldo, if he can stop the enemy team from running his team over by ulting an important target, by melting them with his own damage. Hale is level 16 now, so Ronaldo definitely has the maximum of damage that he can get from his kit alone. And it's only gonna get more difficult from here on for Hydras to finish this game, despite it not actually looking that difficult for now. They are preparing for the Baron, which spawns in 7 seconds. And we're gonna see if that is enough to have the pressure, including the mini waves, to
the Baron
siege the Nexus turrets.
The Baron started up on spawn. Slice looking potentially for Herco here. If they could get a pick onto any of the Hydra's members, it would be very, very big. Make It Rain, going to dissuade any potential engage. And Slice could be caught between a rock and a hard place. Going to be able to get himself away, though. The Baron remains alive. Bot lane super minions pushing in favor, but we do see a lot of damage coming through on to Invulnerables Lotus. They're going to need to find a pick on someone, but Loftition is the first to fall. Hostile takeover is huge. Finds 4 people with a Divine Judgment as well, and Ronaldo is going big. Finds Amirali. Can't find anything else, though. Rhino answers, and it is 2 for 2 so far on the fight. Massive hostile takeover from Marcusa saves that from being an absolute disaster.
Marcusa putting his stamp onto the game as well. Also, Ronaldo doing a lot of work in the back line. Those two have kept this game alive right here, right in this fight. And a 2v2 trade, I'm even gonna say it, is the best that Hydras can get out of that. Because Invul Lotus are literally retreating the second they know they can't get more. They are only gonna lose from here on. So Invul basically played it perfectly, and Hydras just picked up the scraps that were left. I think both teams
are very happy with the outcome of that fight, right? Like, from Invul Lotus, you're behind. In any kind of game state where you're behind, taking an even play is good for you because you're getting that extra gold, you're getting that extra scaling. We do see Hydras on the Baron, though, and I don't think Invul Lotus will have any kind of response to this. They're going to just have to let this one go. And are they going to be able to weather the storm in the next 3 minutes?
That's unlucky. Slice literally recalls 2 seconds before Amirali and Selfie. No, actually, Kyoshi and Selfie started the Baron, and the rest of Hydras joins in. Now, Invul Lotus were trying to contest the dragon instead, but they have
Ronaldo
no
teleports
business
to the top lane. Insect gonna come through, not quite gonna land, and the turret does fall. Can we see a fight? Can we see a play? It is 4 versus 5. The Shurima Shuffle is massive, catches onto 3. Bullet time over the top of it as well, and Amirali is the first to fall. Then is Herko, and the Cassiopeia going to be the 4th. Could this be the game here for Invul Lotus? 2 exposed inhibitors on the side of Hydras. Shader going to be able to pick up that mid lane inhibitor though, not going to be able to force down the Nexus turrets. This should definitely deny the soul, if not at least secure an inhibitor for Invul Lotus.
This should be the
Wait, never mind, it's not soul point. Both teams have 2 dragons. I can't read. Ignore me.
Yeah, Rhino still seems to look for the dragon for...
Yeah, Shader realizing he can't take that risk, doesn't want to leave his team in a 4 versus 5 when they do respawn. And it is going to be 3rd dragon picked up on the side of Invul Lotus. No inhib's going to be taken, though.
I'd say not yet. It's also really important that Shader got that mid lane inhibitor, so they still have some pressure applied from their own base by default due to the siege minions. The most important part about this is for Invul Lotus that they got to fight for 5v4 and they had a numbers advantage. Usually that fight would backfire onto Invul Lotus because of the bare disadvantage they have, but without Shader in the fight they can just take the 5v4 and roll over their opponents like they are far ahead, because there's a big part of the gold of Hydras just missing in that team fight.
But speaking of the gold, with that fight, with that dragon pickup, with the jungle camps being stolen away, the gold lead pretty much non-existent now. So Invul Lotus is going to feel a lot more confident about taking these fights. 4th item for both Viego and the Kale. And Ronaldo and Slice are looking very dangerous. And Invul now pressuring onto this mid lane inhibitor. It's going to fall in seconds. The turret is gone. The actual inhibitor falls soon after. Both teams now with their opposite mid lane inhibitors taken.
And the most baffling thing about this is that despite picking up the Baron, Hydras have lost a lot of gold. They have lost their entire gold advantage, which just shows how much team fight approached in the wrong manner can backfire onto you, despite being in a meta where an easy one-shot just isn't the case anymore for most champions in the entire game. And it also shows that Invul Lotus have taken their chances when they were presented to them, and that chance was presented on a silver platter. That is something that Hydras need to do a lot better in the future, otherwise they might just lose another game.
Hydras returning to the scene of the crime, looking for potentially this top lane inhibitor, but they see the 5 members of Invul show their faces, and they know they do not want a repeat of the previous fight that potentially could have cost them the game. I don't know if it will quite be the turning point, but we shall see very soon. Ronaldo now level 18 on the Kale, fully scaled up. Now, just one more item to fill, does have a stopwatch to fill the slot temporarily. It's going to be Slice getting chunked out a little bit. Last Embrace comes through, but no damage followed up onto the root. Sonic Wave going to connect as well, but I do not imagine Herko will want to follow that one through. The wave being pushed in bot lane by Shader. Mid lane, Kyoshi going to grab those super minions as well. And this game balanced on a knife, very finely poised here. One mistake from any of these 10 players could tip the game away from their team's favor. And we are going to see now Selfway and Amirali being chased down. The Heartbreaker comes through, but doesn't really connect onto anything. Slice now stunned up and is just going to be able to kite back with about 50% of his HP remaining.
Heartbreaker's gone, 50% of his HP are gone, but that's not a trade that Invul Lotus need to feel bad about. Slice has tried to engage this one. He has taken a lot of pressure away from Herko, Amirali and Selfway, and that is the most important part, because right now pressure is the only thing that Hydras still have as a reliable option of gaining a lead. And if Slice or Invul Lotus in general just gets to deflate that pressure, they can literally just stall the game out forever and ever against Hydras. And Hydras need the major objectives to contest that base.
Yeah, I mean, we look at the wave clear available to Invul Lotus here. You have a level 18 Kayle with full build. That is a lot of damage that's going to be raining down on all of your champions and all of your minion waves. Not to mention the Azir as well, with the potential of a bullet time follow-up if absolutely necessary. Teleport burned by Shieda, and I didn't know this was NALCS. Why are we all mid?
Because ARAMs have fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
Some
I can get behind that.
Landing onto Ronaldo.
And we are going to see the dragon coming up very, very shortly here. Could be soul point for Invul Lotus if they are able to secure it. But I feel like, and I feel like we've been saying this for the last 15 minutes, I feel like the next team fight could well decide the game. Both of the neutral objectives are on the map. Shieda is on the Hextech Dragon, though, and you imagine he is going to be looking to burst that one down.
And at the same time, Invul Lotus are moving down the mid lane. Are they trying to get some pressure in? Are they trying to pressure the inhibitor and also, if possible, the base? It looks like
that
they're just trading waves.
That inhibitor in the mid lane going to respawn very, very shortly for Hydras. Invul's already has, and we are going to see a bit of an engage here coming through. Ronaldo dealing massive damage onto Herco, and Selfway chunking out the front line of Hydras. Very, very nice from the Riftmaker Kayle. And Invul have cut off Hydras from their own base here. They have the inside track in the mid lane. Slice flashing forward. The bullet time is huge. Divine Judgment comes down, but it's a double stun on the Invul backline and 2 kills very quickly in the favor of Hydras. But wait, no, what's happening here? Slice is going off. The Viego finds a triple. Heartbreaker dashing forward with the Abyssal Dive does have a reset on that Viego ultimate. Is going to find the Quadra, but no, Loftition steals it. Make it rain. Is it going to make it rain in pain for Hydras? It is just Kyoshi left alive. Both of the physical damage dealers on the side of Invul remain, and I don't know if Viego Misfortune can end into a Cassiopeia here.
The moment that Slice gets a reset, he's just unstoppable in those team fights because he has so many tools. He doesn't have to mind cooldowns because he always has
Get the inhib, guys! Oh my God.
Whenever Slice uses his Sovereign's Domination, he gets a reset on all of his cooldowns, including his ultimate, which he gets a free recast for. And that's the point where Hydras just lose the fight because they have too long cooldowns. They cannot keep up with the Viego and his re-engages. And Loftition also doing a great job in this team fights, staying alive, applying a lot of slows with the Make It Rain. And yeah, bullet time wasn't perfect. He got a lot of damage down onto Amorali, but the rest of the fight he played perfectly, he kited it perfectly, and he got a lot of DPS out onto the enemies and helped Slice clean up that fight.
Yeah, really, really did some work with the utility that Misfortune provides. We are now going to see the Baron dance. 2 waves of super minions, though, for Invulnerables Lotus pushing towards the Hydras base. And Ronaldo is going to go for the teleport. We could see a potential base raise here. The hostile takeover comes through. Tags only onto 1. And the Dawning Shadow is going to find Loftition. He does fall. But it is both of the Invul Lotus solo laners in the base of Hydras. They're looking to end this game. And it is on Slice just to buy time to stop the ports. And the game is over. Invul Lotus find the win with Ronaldo and Rhino in the base on the back door.
That was some level of trickery. I'm gonna say that right here. Definitely was a nice backdoor, a nice thought process. Just keep your enemy team busy at the Baron.
Yeah.
Just keep the enemies busy at Baron. That's all you need to do. And 3 people stopped the recalls for long enough that Ronaldo and who's the mid laner again? Rhino.
Yeah.
Just got to end the game. Nexus turrets don't really take a lot of damage before they crumble, and that's absolutely perfectly played around the teleports of Invul Lotus.
Yeah, really, really nicely done. Slice doing a lot of work as well, stopping all of the ports. I think it was only Selfway that was actually able to make it back to base there on the team fight. Everyone else was denied or was too busy focusing down either of the Invul Lotus bot laners. But yeah, how do we feel about this going into game 2? Obviously, Invul Lotus take the win, move themselves up to 3-0 for the season so far. What do we think needs to change? What do we think either team's going to want to do differently going into game 2?
I think for both teams, there's not exactly a lot to change because they have executed the game quite well. Invul Lotus just had the upper hand in that last team fight. What definitely needs to happen is a more controlled early game for Herco specifically, and also a more controlled early game for Rhino, Loftition, and Mercusa, because those were the people who struggled in early game. It basically was a big handshake globally for every single int that Herco got in. They got another int of Rhino, Loftition, or Mercusa, and I'm not trying to say that disrespectfully. It's just that the other side of the map has taken some pace that they couldn't match in the exact moment, and therefore they just got outpaced and didn't really have the chance to do anything against the power that was brought against them, and needed the power of their own other side of the map to actually equalize it again.
Yeah, and I mean, Invul Lotus and game 1 bangers. What can we say? 41 minutes this first game?
41 minutes.
Following up in good fashion with how they started their series last week. Will we see a much more decisive Invul Lotus in game 2, though? That is still yet to be decided. We're going to take a short break, I think. And we will be right back to bring you guys the coverage of game 2. And even after the second game in this series, you guys aren't going to want to go anywhere, because we're going to be diving straight into the Invulnerables Esports roster, not Invul Lotus, the other Invulnerables Esports roster, who are taking on X7 Academy this evening. So we got a lot more League of Legends to bring you. That was only game 1 of 4 tonight. So we'll catch you all after the break. We might only be a very short break, but we will see you on the other side.